Hey everybody, we are excited to be with you today. I've got my man Dev.
What's up everybody?
And so we just wanted to do a quick Be The One video. We've got some content that we want to share with you that we feel like will lift your life. But real quick, Dev, why don't you tell them what's going on with Be The One?
Alright, so we're really excited about the Be The One reunion coming up. And so if you haven't heard about that, the dates are December 29th through January 1st. And so we're going to meet here in Rogers at the house church, and the cost is $80. And so we can't wait to see you guys on December 29th.
Outreach, fun, reconnecting, connecting spiritually. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Also, something that we're working on upcoming is we want to do Be The One nights. Now, I'll just tell you, God has just been so faithful here. We've got Devyn here. We've got some of our worship team here. Even recently, we got Steven who is getting a job, and he is going to be here. And so we are wanting to put on these one nights where we come to your church and we just have a night of teaching people how to be the one, rap, worship, small groups. It's going to be awesome. So if you're interested in that, we want to know, because we're going to start booking this for 2017. So real quick, Devyn, why don't you give them your email address, and I think we can probably put it on the lower part of the video after we're done.
Yeah.
But
so it's Devyn, DEVYN at BeTheOneMinistries.com, and so just email me and tell me which month in 2017 you would like to do it, and we're booking January and February right now. So if you can find a weekend in those 2 months, then just email me and let me know.
We want to come to you. Also, that's our announcements. Stay up to date with what's going on in Instagram and all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter. Oh Lord, it's too much. But anyway, we're excited to get the word out and the message out to you about all that God is doing through Be The One. But we want to talk to you a little bit.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you about a message, I guess today, a video message called Say What?
Yeah. Say what?
Say what? Say what? So Say What is how listening can lift your life. And I guess when I was a kid, there was this TV show, and one of the main characters of this show, that was a term that he used a lot. Say what? And so when he did not understand what was going on, or he didn't listen, or he did not agree with what he was hearing, he would say what? So you may even be in your car, you may be on your phone, and you may just feel the urge to say what? And so we want you to say what?
Say what?
And the whole idea is that you would lift your listening, because we see that listening will help your leadership.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, I have a story about listening. I'm sure that many of you do. And I was recently talking to my wife. I said, babe, I need a story for listening. And she says, you have 1,000,000. And so, but really, this one time in particularly, I was in high school. And I wanted a job. You know what I'm saying? My mom said I had to get a job. I wanted to make some money. And so she was gone out of town to a little convention, and I was home alone, and she just said, I want you to get a job. And so I wanted to get a job. I looked through, at that time, the newspaper, and sorry, the laughing in the back is my wife. But anyway, what happened was there was this interview that you could go and sell knives. And so I was going to go sell knives. And so I went to the interview. I bought me a button-up shirt, looked good. I'm on the way to this interview, and my mom is talking to me, and she's wanting to know a little bit about the job, and I don't know if that's good. She starts doing a little research. Well, come to find out that this was one of those jobs that you had to pay initially up front to sell these knives. And anyway, I go through the interview, and it was so weird that they asked me more questions about my mom and dad and who they knew in the interview rather than me. And they start talking about the figures and how much you can make. And we had this one person, they showed me a picture of them. They made $100,000, and I'm like, oh Lord. And so I know I'm gonna make $1 billion. I'm gonna retire at Disney World. I'm gonna rent the upper room. And so anyway, I leave the interview and I talk to my mom about it, and she's like, son, this is a scheme. They want you to spend your money, and they want you to sell knives. How much are the knives? Well, Mom, the knives are only $1,500. She said, son, who do we know that has $1,500 to buy knives?
Right.
And I was like, well, there's someone out there will buy them. And she said, yes, the people that you don't know. And so anyway, long story short, I knew I could do it. I go back to the interview and for the second interview, and they say, okay, if you want to be a part, you have to buy a set of knives. And it was like $1,500. And they said, you can give us $500 right now. But in the back of my mind, my mom, I hear my mom going, no, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I chose not to do it. And I think the company went bankrupt. It was like in the paper. But anyway, I think I got saved. And so I never was into the culinary knife dispensing cutlery. It wasn't my calling. It wasn't my time. Right. So listening will obviously lift your life. What about you?
Right. And for me, I mean, you know, your whole life people are telling you listening, whether it's your teachers or your mom or whatever. And so people are always like, Devyn, you need to listen. And it wasn't until a couple of summers ago that I actually realized, like, you really have to listen. And so we were on this missions trip, and we do this really fun event at the end of each trip. We go canoeing.
Come on.
And so I picked the biggest, strongest guy, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to pick him. He's going to be the motor to this
He
thing.
was trying to beat me. He couldn't. Yeah, I'm a canoe warrior.
We won, but
I'm a water
that's
agent.
later in the story. So I put him in my boat, but I didn't realize that the biggest person needs to go in the back, and obviously I'm not the biggest person on any trip. So I was in the back and he was in the front, and when we started, we would just go in circles. And no matter what I would tell him, he would do the opposite. And so then we finally got it down, and we're cruising, and then I see out of the corner of my eye this mischievous character who will go unnamed, and he comes up and he starts to splash us. And so I'm like, okay, look, guy, we don't need to splash him back. We just need to stay humble. We just need to get. We just need to get through the end of this alive. But he wasn't having it, so he starts to splash Steven, and it throws our boat off course. And so I see us headed for this tree, and I start to yell to him, paddle on the right side, paddle on the right side. And the whole time he's still splashing Steven. And so we never get back how we're supposed to. And I look up, and the tree is like right here to my face.
There's a tree in the water.
We hit the tree, the boat flips. I lost one of my favorite pairs of shoes. I lost my shirt. And we end the trip. I don't have a shirt, I don't have shoes. And then I realized
the river took his best.
if he would have just stopped and listened to me, then none of this would have happened. And so if you are my mom, if you're watching this, if you're anybody who ever tried to tell me something and I didn't listen, I apologize. I'm sorry. I understand your struggle and your pain.
It is real.
Just listen, people.
So what we want to do is we want to unpack 5 thoughts real quick, real fast. The learning curve of listening, things that we feel like will help you advance your life, advance your leadership, no matter where you are. And so the first one is, get ready, you don't know it all. You don't know it all, and here's the deal: nobody does. And so if you operate in the mindset that because you're very gifted academically, or you're gifted in your talents. See, a lot of times our talents will take us where our character can't keep us. And so you've got to make sure that if you're really going to go forward, that you don't possess an arrogance about yourself, because arrogance may be exalted in the world, but with longevity of relationship, it's really something that people push back on. And so I want to encourage you, don't think that you know it all. When someone's trying to teach you something, when an older man or an older woman, when a teacher, when someone comes in and tries to give you a little bit of wisdom, don't shut them down. Because the reality is, the devil would love for generations to be disconnected and everyone have to figure out everything on their own. I don't want to do that. I want to learn from somebody else so that I can go further, farther, faster. So you don't know it all, and it's okay that you don't know it all, but if you learn, you will know what you need to know when that moment comes.
Right, and so the second one is 2 ears, 1 mouth. And so I know you probably heard that saying before, and people use it to say, you need to listen twice as much as you talk. And when I was a kid, I was always like, yeah, that's just convenient for you to say, but that's not really true. But as I've grown up and as I started to live under leadership, I've learned that you really do need to listen twice as much as you talk. And if you are the person who always goes into the room and you're always talking, then I would say that you're probably not learning anything while you're talking. Because older voices have more experience and more life that they've lived. And so if you're always talking, then there's nothing that you can teach yourself. But if you are the one that will listen before you speak, then you will realize that you will put your foot in your mouth a lot less. Right. And that's something that I've learned kind of the hard way. So.
Well, the reality is, Devyn, is that you either have outgoing or incoming. And the Bible teaches when a young man enters into a relationship or a conversation with older men, the young man should remain silent. Not because he's less, but because he's learning. And if there's always an ability, a forward motion for older individuals or people who have experience where you don't, if there's always an influx of listening, then you're going to be twice what you were, because you already know your ideas. When you listen, you get to know somebody else's. Yeah. And so it just is a value to you. The third one is you got to repeat what you've heard.
Right.
A lot of times when we're talking to someone, great listeners will assimilate what is said and then speak it back to the one communicating, so that both parties leave knowing we all understand what was said. Yeah. When you don't communicate back, let's say you shut down and someone's trying to speak to you or communicate to you and you shut down, you may think, I'm listening, I heard you, I'm listening. But in reality, the one who's giving the lesson doesn't feel like you're listening. And so what will happen is they will either push harder or they'll walk away from that relationship.
Right.
Because people want to input into others that are willing to listen. And so when you're listening to your mom, your dad, your teacher, your coach, repeat back what they're telling you so that they know you're on their page. And here's the deal. What that will do is build trust in your life.
Yeah.
The fourth thing is discerning life-giving voices. Here we are, we're talking about listening, and you're like, okay, I'm going to listen. But there are some voices that you just shouldn't listen to. And here's the thing, everything that's life-giving, that produces generosity, that produces love towards someone else, that's a voice that you want to listen to. Yeah. But anything that tears apart relationships is something that you may want to think about and go, you know what, is that the voice I need to be listening to? Now, I do understand that we as believers constantly get into situations where people don't understand our standards or they don't understand our convictions. But can I tell you this, that if you listen to the wrong voices, it will always show up in your life as bondage.
Yeah.
And you'll be hindered. The reality is this, it's so funny to me when I talk to people who get wisdom from someone who's never been a success in that area. It's like, you're not going to talk to someone who's married and been happily married for 15 years about your relationship. You're going to talk to someone who has never had a girlfriend or never had a boyfriend. Right. And if they do, they've only been in a relationship 3 months. Come on. That ain't the voice. That doesn't mean that you don't value their input. But when I'm thinking about framing my life up, I want to listen to voices that lift me forward.
Right. And so the last one, number 5, is watch it work. And so my life, I've kind of put myself in a position where I always want to listen. And over the last few years, I've just seen it work. And so if you listen to the right voices and you do what it says, then you will see the fruit of your life. The Bible says in James 1:22 that don't just listen to the word and deceive yourself, but do what it says. And so if you listen to it and sit on it, then you won't see any fruit. But if you listen to it, take it into consideration, and then actually go out and put your hand to doing what you learned, then I believe that you will have fruit in your life from it.
That's it. Well, here's what we want to pray with you, and we want to get out. We know that this video has been hopefully an encouragement to you. Yeah. That you would learn that listening is effective, and that you would not just say would, but you would lean in to those who want to teach you because I really believe that if you have good teachers in your life, their goal is to hold the ladder as you climb up.
Right.
And so we want to pray with you. Dev, why don't you pray?
All right. Heavenly Father God, we thank you for everyone who clicked this video and watched it, God. I pray that you will unlock the power of listening in their lives, God, that they will listen to the right voices, God. Not only listen, but they would put their hands to it and actually do it, God. And also, I pray that we would listen to your spirit, God, and your voice as we navigate life, God, and as we unlock our leadership potential. In your son's Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. You guys, check us out on all of our Be The One avenues.
Right.
And remember, keep being the one. God has a great plan for your life.